My name is Robert and I'm 58 years old. I've been working my whole life to give my family the best. Started from nothing when I was 22, worked 2 jobs, saved every penny, built my own construction company from the ground up. Blood, sweat, and tears went into every brick of our house, every dollar in our bank account. My son Jake is 28 now, smart boy, went to college, got himself a fancy job at some tech company, makes good money, drives a nice car, lives in one of them expensive apartments downtown. But somewhere along the way, he forgot where he came from. Last Christmas Eve, I was so excited. First time in 3 years, Jake was coming home for Christmas dinner. His mother passed 5 years ago, and since then, it's just been me rattling around in this big house we built together. I missed having family around the table. I spent the whole week getting ready, went to 3 different stores to find the perfect turkey, got all his favorite sides, mashed potatoes with extra butter, green bean casserole, that cranberry sauce he likes from the fancy jar, not the canned stuff. Even bought wine, the expensive kind from that shop downtown where they act like they know everything. Christmas morning came and I was up at 6 a.m. cooking. Put the turkey in early so it would be perfect. Made fresh rolls from scratch like his mother used to. The whole house smelled like Christmas should smell. I was humming while I worked, felt happy for the first time in months. Jake showed up around 2 p.m. with his girlfriend, Sarah. Pretty girl, works at some marketing company. They both looked nice, dressed up in clothes that probably cost more than I spend on groceries in a month. But that was okay. I was just happy to see my boy. But something felt off right from the start. Jake barely hugged me, hello, just this quick pat on the back thing. Then he started looking around the house like he was seeing it for the first time. "Dad, you really should update this place," he said, running his finger along the mantel like he was checking for dust. "This furniture is so outdated. And what's with all these old photos everywhere?" Those photos were our family memories. Pictures of him as a kid, his mother when she was young, family vacations, his graduation. But I bit my tongue, didn't want to start anything on Christmas. During dinner is when things really went wrong. I was telling Sarah about how I built the company, sharing some stories about the old days. Jake kept rolling his eyes and checking his phone. "Dad, nobody wants to hear these old stories," he said without even looking up from his screen. "I think it's interesting," Sarah said politely, but Jake just shook his head. "Trust me, it's not. He tells the same stories every time." That stung, but I kept going. I was proud of what I built, proud of how I provided for my family. Thought maybe Sarah would want to know about the man who raised her boyfriend. Then I started talking about this job we did when Jake was little, building a playground for the community center. How Jake came with me one Saturday and helped paint the swings. How proud I was watching him work so hard. "Dad, please stop," Jake said, finally putting his phone down. "You're embarrassing me. Sarah doesn't need to hear about how poor we used to be." "Poor? We were never poor. We just weren't rich yet." "I'm not embarrassed by where I come from," I told him. "These stories are about family, about building something together." Jake laughed, but not in a good way. "Dad, look around. That was a long time ago. We're different people now. I'm different. I've moved on from all this small town stuff." Sarah looked uncomfortable. She kept trying to change the subject, but Jake wasn't having it. "You know what, Dad? Maybe next year we should just meet at a restaurant, somewhere nicer. This whole situation, it's just not really our scene anymore." Our scene, this was his home. This was the table where he did homework every night, the kitchen where his mother made his birthday cakes, the living room where we watched football every Sunday. But what really got me was what he said next. "I mean, I love you, Dad, but I have a different life now, a better life. Sarah's family, they have money. They understand success. They don't sit around talking about the good old days when they didn't have anything." That's when something inside me broke. Not broke angry, broke sad. Here was my son, the boy I worked 60-hour weeks to support through college, telling me our life together wasn't good enough for him. I got up real quiet and went to my bedroom. In the closet, behind my winter coats, was a safe. Inside that safe was something I'd been keeping for the right moment. My will. See, I'd been thinking about what to do with everything when I'm gone. The house, the business, all the money I saved. Always figured Jake would get it all. He was my only child, my legacy. But sitting there listening to him talk about his better life made me realize something. And Jake didn't want my legacy. He was ashamed of it. I went back to the dining room with the papers in my hand. Jake and Sarah were arguing in whispers about something, probably about how embarrassing his old man was. Jake, I said, sitting back down, you're right. You have moved on. You've got a better life now. He looked confused but nodded. Yeah, exactly. I'm glad you understand. I do understand, and because I understand, I want to give you a Christmas gift that matches your new life. I slid the papers across the table. These are changes to my will. Since you've moved on from all this small town stuff, since our old life embarrasses you, I figured you wouldn't want any part of it when I'm gone. Jake picked up the papers. His face went white as he read. Dad, what is this? I'm leaving everything to charity. The house, the business, all of it. Going to the community center where you used to help me paint those swings. Figure they'll appreciate it more than someone who thinks it's embarrassing. Sarah gasped. Jake just stared at the papers. You can't be serious. Dead serious. You said you have a better life now, right? Said you've moved on? Well, this makes it official. You're free from all this embarrassing small town stuff forever. The room went quiet except for the old grandfather clock ticking in the corner. Same clock that used to comfort Jake when he had nightmares as a kid. Dad, I didn't mean... I wasn't trying to... What? Weren't trying to what? Weren't trying to tell me that the life I built, the family I raised, the home I made wasn't good enough? Because that's exactly what you did. Jake set the papers down with shaking hands. I was just... Sarah's family is... Sarah's family, what? Better than us? Richer? More important? Sarah spoke up for the first time. Mr. Roberts, I never said anything about your family. I think your stories are wonderful. Jake talks about you all the time, about how hard you worked, how proud he is. Then why didn't he say that, I asked. Why did my own son sit at my table eating food I cooked with love and tell me I was embarrassing him? Jake couldn't answer. He just sat there staring at his hands. You know what the funny thing is, I continued? I was proud of you, proud that my boy made something of himself. Thought I did good raising you, but you're not the man I thought I raised. I stood up and started clearing the table. The turkey was still half full. All that food I spent days preparing, barely touched. Dad, wait, Jake called out. Let's talk about this. Nothing to talk about. You made yourself clear. You're ashamed of me, ashamed of this house, ashamed of where you come from. Well, now you don't have to be. You can go back to your fancy apartment and your fancy life and never have to worry about embarrassing old dad again. That's when Jake broke down crying. Right there at my dinner table, 28 years old and crying like he used to when he skinned his knee. I'm sorry, Dad. I didn't mean it. I don't know why I said those things, but I was done listening. The damage was done. You can't unsay words like that. You can't take back making your father feel like garbage in his own home on Christmas night. Sarah seems like a nice girl, I told him. She deserves better than someone who's ashamed of his family, and I deserve better than a son who thinks I'm an embarrassment. They left about an hour later. Jake kept apologizing, kept saying he didn't mean it, but I walked them to the door and said goodbye. Haven't seen him since. That was 8 months ago. Jake calls sometimes, leaves messages saying he's sorry, saying he wants to fix things, but I don't call back. Some things can't be fixed with sorry. The funny part is I did change my will, not out of spite, but because I realized something that night. Jake didn't want my legacy, and that was okay. The community center can use the money to help kids who actually appreciate what they have. I'm not angry anymore, just sad. Sad that I lost my son somewhere along the way and didn't even notice until it was too late. Sad that success made him forget who he was, where he came from. But I learned something important that Christmas night. You can't make someone grateful. You can't force someone to respect you. And you can't love someone enough to make up for them not loving themselves. My son thought he was better than his raising, better than his father's life. But here's what I know that he doesn't. There's no such thing as being better than love. There's no success worth more than family. And there's no life so fancy that you should be ashamed of the people who made it possible. I wake up every morning in the house I built with my own hands. I eat breakfast at the table where I taught my son to tie his shoes. I look at pictures of better times and remember when we were happy together. Jake's out there somewhere, living his better life. And me? I'm still right here, same as always, not embarrassing anyone anymore. Maybe that's the real gift I gave him that Christmas night, the freedom to never be embarrassed by his old man again. Though I don't think either of us wanted that gift as much as we thought we did. Sometimes the presents that hurt the most are the ones we didn't know we were asking for. Listen, I know some of you might think I was too hard on my boy. Maybe you're right. But here's what I learned from that terrible Christmas night. We teach people how to treat us by what we accept. When someone you love starts treating you like you're not worth their time, not worth their respect, you got two choices. You can keep taking it, keep hoping they'll remember who you are to them, or you can show them that your love has limits, your patience has boundaries. I chose the second one. Was it easy? No. Did it hurt? Every single day. But sometimes losing someone is the only way to find your own self-respect again. If you got family, don't take them for granted. The people who loved you before you were successful, who believed in you when you had nothing, those people are worth more than gold. Don't let success make you forget that. And if you're listening to this and realizing you've been taking someone for granted, it might not be too late. Pride is expensive, but regret costs even more. My son chose his pride over his family that Christmas night. I chose my dignity over my son. We both lost something we can't get back. Don't be like us. Choose love while you still can.